Hey, beautiful souls.
Welcome to B2B Beautiful. I am Coach Charmin D, energetic, heartfelt, and always keeping it real.
And I'm Coach Lonette, more reserved, tenacious, honest, and a little funny.
Together, we're here to guide you through transforming your bitterness
Into something truly beautiful. Join us on this journey of healing and empowerment. Hey, beautiful souls. Welcome back to the Bitter to Beautiful podcast. It is allergy season and the pollen is high. I am Coach Lonette, and if you've been tracking with us or talking with us, you know that we are in a powerful season of exposing bitterness, healing family wounds, and leaning and learning to walk in grace. In part one of this episode, we started unpacking what it looks like to have unresolved tension or bitterness toward our in-laws, especially in blended family dynamics. We looked at what bitterness looks like in disguise, how to unmask it, and how to move forward with grace. Today, we're going to dive even deeper. Coach Charmin?
Yes. I am Coach Charmin D, and today's episode is all about moving from tension to transformation in blended families. We're going to talk about releasing judgment, handling disrespect without losing our peace. Let me say that again. Handling disrespect without losing our peace and growth over grudge. Let's pick it up from where we left off, Coach Lonette.
All right, so we have our two scriptures for this episode. The first is Proverbs 19:11. A person's wisdom yields patience. It is to one's glory to overlook an offense. This verse reminds us that not every offense needs a response. Sometimes peace comes through patience. Sometimes peace comes through patience and letting go of small irritations. Hebrews 12:14 through 15. Work at living in peace with everyone. Look after each other so that no one fails, so that none of you fails to receive the grace of God. Watch out that no poisonous root of bitterness grows up to trouble you, corrupting many. This reminds us that bitterness doesn't just affect us, it spreads. Ooh. And that's why healing matters.
Sometimes peace comes from patience. Whew. Let me say that again. Sometimes peace comes from being patient. Blended families require a lot of patience. I know because my family is blended, so it definitely requires a lot of patience. So let's ask ourselves, Coach Lonette, what are the unspoken expectations or past hurt with your in-laws that you may have buried but still carry? Ooh. Follow-up question. And follow-up is, what might peace look like for you in those relationships if God stepped into that space?
So the first part, what unspoken expectations did I have with my in-laws? I expected what I saw to remain. They were very family oriented, but unfortunately, as in the times when they tried to include me, some things often went sour because I can say maybe they didn't understand who I was, or there was an expectation of who I should have been for their son or brother or grandson, right? And so they had a lot of unspoken expectations that I probably did not live up to, that I did not want to live up to because of the core of who I am and how I was raised. But from my unspoken expectations, I would say from seeing patterns in my own family, both the maternal side and the paternal side, I had an ideal relationship that I wanted with my in-laws. And while I did get it with one in-law, I did not get it with the other. And it caused a lot of issues. I am one to say, hey, can we sit over here and talk? Can we take a walk and talk? Let's talk about it so that we can get some understanding and resolve this, because you are you, I am me, y'all are y'all, and me, I am me, right? And so I've tried that a number of times, and people are either going to accept you or they're not. And I think sometimes we don't accept that. And so because I learned to accept it, I decided to move on from trying to get people to like me. And I did not want to shift who I was or compromise who I was for them to like me either. I did not want to be made into someone that I was not, just to suit them for son or brother. And so if I had to imagine what peace would look like in these relationships, it would be, I can say that I accepted them for who they are. That wasn't reciprocated. So peace for me, when and if God intervenes, would be they recognize who Lonette is, who she's always been, who she will continue to be or grow to be. And that for me would cause peace in that relationship. I've learned to accept people for who they are and for where they are. And it's up to me how long I stay or linger. But again, we're called to love people. I still have love for them because not just because I'm supposed to, not because God says that we're supposed to love everyone, but there were some good times. There was heartfelt moments shared, and I still have a love. But at the same time, when we're talking about peace, I still found that I had to protect my peace and that of my children as well. Coach Charmin, what do you say?
That's real good. I actually had a really good, or have a really good relationship with my mother-in-law. My father-in-law has since passed. So we didn't. There were no huge expectations. I think my husband has a very large family, so the goal was to fit in. I also had to contend with the fact that my husband was married before me, so I was his second wife. So that was another thing. Feeling my expectations was, am I going to fit in because of that? And we raised his children. He raised my children. So that was also a feeling. But other than that, I didn't really have any ill feelings with my in-laws. We actually had really good relationships. There was no quiet expectations. We were close. We were very close, and we still today are close. I don't carry any type of things with them. This is actually my second marriage, and it was the same in my first marriage. So I think this answer is pretty we were good. In regards to the second question, what would peace look like if in this relationship, if God has stepped in the space? I had been saved when I got married my second time, my second marriage. So I feel like because of my relationship with Christ is one of the reasons why it didn't get out of hand. I am really good with forgiving and loving initially, allowing people to prove themselves. And that's exactly what happened with my in-laws and his extended family. So because of the God I've known, because of Christ, I was able to not endure some of the experiences that other people have had with their in-laws because we were good. There were some, of course, there's some time when people, but it was never that intense. It was always moments that we can move past and we can forgive and not hold and be stuck in bitterness. So we're going to the next one. How bitterness grows in blended families. Did you need to follow up, Lonette, or are you good?
No, I'm good. I'm good. Let's go on. So, how does bitterness grow in blended families? Bitterness grows silently when we make peace with pretending. It grows silently when we make peace with pretending. In-laws may have overstepped, made unfair judgments, or refused to accept your place in the family. If we don't address these wounds, they fester into assumptions, mistrust, and distance. And even if you do address these wounds and it's not resolved on the other side, your part, and if there's an opportunity to address it again without trying to make the changes yourself instead of letting God intervene, then you have to learn when to step away. Just like we talked about in season 1, know when to hold them, know when to fold them, know when to walk away, know when to run. And sometimes it's just a matter of a break and prayer, right? So how does this look? Defensive anticipation, preparing yourself mentally for conflict before every visit. You must prepare mentally when you know who you're dealing with. If you're dealing with someone who is the opposite temperament of who you are, prepare mentally. So I'm mostly quiet, and the way that I'm speaking now is the way that I would normally present myself in a situation, especially when I'm trying to remove conflict and vouch for peace. I'm going to come in this way, but I could be talking to someone that's hot-headed or angry or very passionate in the way that they're speaking. I have to prepare myself not to match them where they are, right? So I have to say, okay, Lonette, and I'm praying too. We're going to keep our peace. We're going to be calm. If they raise their voice, just listen to the words that are being said and listen for the words that are not being said. So that's how one of the ways that I prepare myself mentally for conflict, if I know that I'm going to be meeting with someone that can get that way, right? And there have been times when it was the opposite, and a soothing voice. What does the word say? A calm... is it a calm voice? A quiet voice turns away wrath. I'll find it, but it is a scripture. Another one is withholding connection, avoiding vulnerable moments like family dinners or celebrations. That was my first step in walking away from the in-laws. I avoided those moments like the family dinners, and they weren't vulnerable moments for me. They became triggers for me because something would always happen negatively, and I couldn't take so much negativity in my life. Scorekeeping, remembering every slight and using it to justify coldness or withdrawal. Remember you didn't say hi to me? Remember you walked past me? Remember you rolled your eyes? Remember you didn't invite me to? Remember all of those things. Stop keeping the score. Love keeps no record of wrong. Transfer tension, taking out the frustration on your spouse or children instead of addressing the root issue. We have to stop and recognize when we have misguided anger and taking it out on those that we are closest to. We have to build an awareness about that if something happened and you are triggered because your child spilled something or your spouse forgot to do something and you're taking out your anger and frustration on them instead of having a conversation with the person that offended you, that hurt you, disappointed you, I'm going to say this, that is not okay. And we have to stop doing that. We cannot keep transferring our attention, even if it goes to a coworker or someone at your business. It is not okay. It's human but it's not okay. And we have to begin to correct this behavior so that we don't cause more hurt, and we learn to address these things at the root. Coach Charmin?
That's deep. That is so very true. Proverbs 15:1. A soft answer turneth away wrath, but
Thank you.
words stir up anger. Or a gentle answer turns away wrath, but a harsh word stores up anger. Wow. So, unmasking bitterness in blended families. Bitterness thrives in silence. Let's talk about it. How can we break that silence with wisdom? Recognize what you can control. You can't control what's said at family gatherings, but you can control how you respond to them. That's key. Philippians 4:5, the NIV version. Let your gentleness be evidence at all. The Lord is near. Let your gentleness be evidence to all. The Lord is near. Choose accountability over assumptions. I think, and again, when I mentioned not having issues with my in-laws, it wasn't the issues with my in-laws, it was the issues with, other people who, again, I said my husband got previously married, but then dealing with his wife or dealing with baby mamas, those are where the issues came in at. But I don't believe in baby mama drama, so that really was short-lived. Choose accountability over assumptions is very, very important. Instead of assuming, because that's where most of the issues come. You assume I feel this way. Instead of assuming you're being judged or excluded, clarify it. Be cautious, but not defensive. We're constantly quick to be defensive when we don't understand the situation of a thing. We need to understand it. What's that scripture you always say, Lonette? Get understanding? Is that what it?
In all I getting, get understanding.
Get understanding before you're defensive and you're ready to fight. Invite your spouse into unity. You're not fighting alone. Ask your spouse to support healthy boundaries together. Sometimes those boundaries are very important, but they may not be boundaries that you can put in place alone. You have to, and especially when dealing with his parents, you have to work together to do that. Because people are familiar, and it's mom or dad or auntie, or people are familiar, and that familiarity is because of their relationship, may not include your relationship, which means it's necessary for you to come together in unity to set the boundary for his family, and the same for yours. I'm just saying, Coach Lonette.
Well, that hits something. When you have a spouse and they're speaking up about how they are treated by our family, I think that it's important that we listen, because you've been with your family all or most of your life, but they haven't. I when you were talking, I heard about husbands, and it's wives too, husbands who are mama's boys, and they put their mom before their wife. And while it's okay to still take care of your mom, you have to remember that your wife is now your family, because you left and cleft. So it's important that the two communicate and don't just negate their feelings and say, oh, you'll be all right. You'll get to know. No, right is right and wrong is wrong. And just because it may be right in your eyes and because you know them better, it still can offend your spouse or your significant other. So listen to what's being said, especially if it's something that's happening over and over again. Instead of taking sides, you can be the unifier in that situation and set those healthy boundaries. Mom, you can't talk to my girl or my wife this way. That's unacceptable. You have to respect her, and it should be both ways around. You have to learn to have these conversations and not continue to brush over them. I see it happen too many times. So here are 2 action steps to help you release bitterness and embrace healing. So because I've made this mistake, thank God it wasn't terrible, write down your notes on a piece of paper or type them into a Word or Google document before you put it into an email or a text message, because you can send by accident, unintentionally, and before you're ready, right? So the first is to write a release letter, even if you do not send it. Put your pain into words. You made me feel unseen when, whatever your pain is, this helps you process instead of suppress. Get it out, right? Get it out. Whether you write it down, you do a video recording or audio recording, get it out so that you're not yelling at people, right? Or going off on people who don't necessarily deserve your outburst. They deserve to hear your feelings and what you have to say, but they do not deserve an outburst, right? No matter how we feel, it's not okay. Psalm 62:8 says, pour out your hearts to him, for God is our refuge. A lot of my prayers are written. I write down my prayers because that's one of the ways that I get it out. If I'm not talking to him directly, I'm writing it in a prayer book, right? That's another thing that you can do. One more thing that you can do is make one small shift at the next family gathering. Whether it's changing your seat, offering a kind gesture, or simply choosing not to react. One shift can change the tone. In my time of trying to do this, I did move my seats. I tried to have conversations with other people to get to know them a little bit better so that it wouldn't stir up anything. And then when I saw things, I just kindly removed myself from the situation, or I just did not put any energy to it so that nothing else would come of it. So Romans 14:19 says, let us therefore make every effort to do what leads you to peace and to mutual edification. Now let's talk about some stats and facts.
Oh, okay, that was good, Coach Lonette. That was really good. Now, nearly 70% of remarried individuals report tension due to extended family dynamics. That is a high number, 70%. Okay, studies show that unresolved in-law conflict is one of the top 5 causes of tension in the second marriage. Wow. Okay, Coach Lonette.
Well, if it's the second time around, had a bad one the first time around, you might want to think, the family. And people say, I'm not marrying the family, I'm marrying the person that I'm marrying. Lies. You are marrying the family, right? Because while they may or may not live in the house with you, you still have to build a connection, because that is your spouse's or significant other's lineage or background. And I find that if you learn more about the family, you learn more and more about the person that you married or dating. So you're marrying the family, but you're connected to the one that you are married. You become one flesh. So here's a practical biblical example. And this is one of my favorite Bible stories. It's taken from the book of Ruth. And it talks about Naomi and Ruth. Even after Naomi lost her husband and sons, Ruth stayed by her side, but their journey to trust and healing was gradual. Naomi initially changed her name to Mara, meaning bitter. Yet through faith, loyalty, and restoration, their story turned into one of beauty. So the takeaway from this is bitterness doesn't have to be your final identity. Like Naomi, you can heal and walk into a new chapter, even with the people you did not expect to be part of your story.
That's good. Yeah. Bitterness does not have to be your final identity. It does not have to be your final identity. I don't need to say it. Do I need to say it? God doesn't want you bitter. He wants you beautiful. To your in-laws. Yes. At the end of the day, the response is what makes a difference. How you respond to it is what makes a difference. Somebody they can act egregious, they can be nasty, but how you respond to it is what you're going to answer for when you stand before God.
Mm-hmm.
Bitterness towards in-laws or extended family doesn't make you a bad person. It makes you a human. But God doesn't call us to stay bitter. He calls us to live in peace, anchored in grace, and strengthened by truth.
And let's be real, blended families take work. Whether you're married into a blended family or you're married and your families are blending, it's going to take work. But with God's help, prayer, honesty, and healthy boundaries, peace is possible. If today's episode spoke to your heart, drop us a comment at bittertobeautiful.com or write in the comment section. And don't forget to subscribe and leave a review. Until next time, stay beautiful,
stay bold,
and stay blessed. As we wrap up today's episode, we want to extend our deepest gratitude to you, our listeners. Transitioning from bitter to beautiful isn't just a moment, it's a movement, a continuous journey of transforming pain into power, one heart at a time.
And to all our first-time listeners, welcome to the family. We are a community of souls committed to healing, growth, and transformation. Click on the link in the bio to subscribe to our mailing list and tune in every week. When you subscribe, you'll also receive information about our live pop-up rooms on Clubhouse.
As we embrace life's journey and find the beauty in overcoming bitterness, remember, bitterness isn't beautiful, and your healing is just the beginning of a beautiful new chapter.
Don't forget, new episodes are released every Saturday. Whether you're listening on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, or Listen Notes, there is a space for you here to find healing, inspiration, and strength.
Thank you for joining us. Until next time, keep embracing the journey, keep healing, and keep transforming. Here's to turning all our bitter experiences into beautiful victories. See you next time.